issue here at the Fitchville Pond Dam in Bozrah. We quickly had resources deployed out to get an extent of this situation, and our partners at the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, as well as local authorities in Bozrah and Norwich, quickly came together and identified the situation here at the dam required some additional assessment where we had to pull some engineers in. Because of the impacts of this situation, which you'll hear more about, limited evacuations were issued for select areas of Bozrah and Norwich out of an abundance of caution for those downstream of the dam. I'm going to turn it over next to Commissioner Katie Dykes of the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, who will give a little more background on the situation here at the dam. Commissioner?
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. I'm Katie Dykes, DEEP Commissioner. DEEP's role here is with respect to our dam safety team. We've been on scene since this morning, providing assistance to the town of Bozrah and the city of Norwich and Demis in responding to the situation. Our dam, this is a privately owned dam, so our role here is in an emergency posture. We've got several contractors that we've brought on scene to be able to provide for emergency assistance. Some things that we're trying to do to help mitigate any further safety challenges for this dam. We know that we've also been working with Demis and with the towns on the evacuations that were put in place just as a precaution to keep people safe. We are seeing, some of the water levels start to recede a little bit, so that's positive news. We're thinking about some additional engineering measures we might be able to put in place temporarily going forward, as we know that we are expecting more rain on Friday. So we want to use this window of time, hopefully, to be able to make sure that this situation is as safe as possible heading into that next weather event. So we really appreciate all the coordination. We're gonna be here working this situation until the dam is secure. And with that, I'm going to invite up to the microphone the Mayor of Norwich, Peter Nystrom.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nature is in full force. You're seeing it today. We're very grateful for the governor coming here, marshaling the commissioner of DEEP as well. Not close enough, I'm sorry. Believe it or not, I just had a stress test at the local hospital. Here we go. We're working together. We're grateful for the attention from the state, our governor joining us today. Hopefully this dam will not go. That's our biggest fear right now. As you heard, we did issue evacuation orders in Norwich, not waiting for something bad to happen. We have a shelter at the Kelly Junior Middle High School there. That's where people have a place to be right now. We're just hoping that for the best, that there's no more activity here and continue downgrading of the height of the river. A little while ago went over to Uncas Leap. I've never seen the water that high. It's almost up to the train trestle underneath. Never seen that level ever in my lifetime. I've seen Yannick flood the old Norwich Town Mall. I've seen that before, but not this kind of water. But thank you for joining us, and I introduce our governor. Be my honor.
Thanks, Peter. And glad you had the stress test before you got all this news. It's just remarkable. People are telling me they've never seen Yannick River as full as it is today. This goes back to the flooding of 1938 and maybe Noah. And it's just a remarkable, this is a dam that was first built in the 1840s, rebuilt in the 1880s. We have about 4,000 dams like this, a lot of really old dams in this state. Katie and the DEEP team go out there, inspect, give people notices. Most of these dams are private. People have to take care of them. We just put $6 million in the bond commission meeting just a couple of weeks ago to do more on our dams here at the state level and do everything you can to keep them secure. And people are worried, is this really necessary? What we're finding today is more necessary than ever. I mean, just in the last few months, we were in Glastonbury, where the corn was flooded out. We were in Bristol, where a road was flooded out. We were in Scotland, where a bridge was flooded out. And these storms are becoming more frequent and more severe. And I just want to, thank all the folks from DEEP and the Public Works Department who have been here. They were here at 6:30 this morning. That was when they first got notice that this dam could be at risk. And right now, it looks like that risk is mitigating, but you can't be too careful. It's a little scary. Talking to Peter, you had an evacuation order in Norwich. 500 people were told to evacuate. We're looking at the substations, the electrical substations, see what could be at risk. As Katie said, I think we've weathered this storm. I don't know what's going to happen next. We'll be ready.
Can somebody give us an engineering assessment of precisely what did happen to that dam today?
So we were notified that the,
Yes, so tell them who you are.
I'm Chuck Lee. I'm the Assistant Director of Dam Safety Programs for DEEP.
They are going to want you close to the mic.
Okay, I will do that then. Thank you. Okay, all right, good. Am I good now? Very good. So we were notified at about 5:30 this morning that what we call the left abutment was leaking from this dam, something we hadn't seen before. So we took this very seriously. We came down on site. We notified our engineer that inspected the dam previously in 2022 for their assistance. We looked at it. We noticed the leak was of a concern, so we started talking to personnel in Norwich and Bozrah about an evacuation. That evacuation order consists. We're continuing monitoring, and we're taking actions to make the dam safe for the next storm. That will be what I call temporary actions, not permanent, but enough to hold us through for the next couple of storms.
What is that you're currently taking?
We're going to be bringing in a contractor. They're going to be putting in a coffer dam with super sacks of sand. We're going to be pumping out behind those super sacks and trying to make sure that's dry. That'll give us access to the dam so we can do a better inspection of what actually happened and caused that leak today.
Did that overwash today?
It did not overwash. It leaked through the left abutment, which is over on that side of the dam.
And right here it seems to be leaking where...
Onto the road. That's the leak we're talking about.
Oh, so
correct.
That's left side. It's looking
left
out.
as you face going downstream of the dam.
Did the 2022 inspection find anything wrong, like with this inspection?
There was problems with the dams, and we've been monitoring this dam during storms, and we keep an eye on it.
What were some of those problems that you said?
I don't recall those immediately off the top of my head.
This has never happened.
Privately owned dam. Do you know who's responsible for maintenance and repair of it?
Privately owned dams are the responsibility of the owner of the dam, not the state of Connecticut. So they're required to inspect the dam and make repairs as needed.
Who owns this dam?
Can you explain a little bit more about the bond commission money that was appropriated and what that's going to be going towards?
That's really a different subject matter, but I'm happy to talk about it. That's for state dams, not privately owned dams. That's what that money was allocated for.
Explain a little bit more about that. What's that money going to be allocated for?
Yeah, we had, $6 million. So among the 4,000 dams that the governor mentioned, DEEP has responsibility for a subset of those dams through direct ownership, and we are really pleased that the bond commission included, I believe, $6 million to help us continue with the regular maintenance and upkeep of those state-owned dams.
That's not this.
That's not this. This is a privately owned dam, so different subset.
Required to be inspected every 2 years, and are they required to get their own inspection team to come in, or do they have to get an inspection done by the state? How does that work?
So it depends on the hazard class of the dam. A high hazard class dam, such as this one, needs to be inspected every 2 years. They need to hire a professional engineer to do that inspection. They submit that report to DEP for review.
Did they submit the latest report?
We actually took it on ourselves to do that inspection a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I had talked to the dam owner maybe an hour ago, and I asked him about this, and he said he feels that everybody's making a bigger deal out of this, and that he was at the dam this morning and it looked good. I don't know how you respond to that.
Well, that's his opinion, not necessarily ours.
Is the dam secure right now?
We're monitoring the dam, and we're making sure, we're making every effort to make it secure.
Who owns the dam, sir?
It's Seymour Sand and Gravel.
And the state and private owners have taken down certain dams that no longer serve a purpose. Other dams, even though the industrial purpose is gone, as recreational. And so, does this dam serve any larger purpose other than the fact that it would be expensive to remove?
I would refer you to the owner. That's probably his opinion of the purpose his dam serves.
Well, in an environmental sense, recreation, whatever, flood control, does the dam serve any purpose, any public purpose, let's put it that way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you anticipate any further evacuations?
We're taking every precaution to prevent that from happening, but we'll be monitoring as needed.
And did you get the call this morning because one of your own, you said
I believe it was the town of Norwich personnel notified the Division of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, and they contacted us.
Back on the evacuation for a second, the Norwich statement said it could be a couple of days. Get ready for that. Do we have any firmer timeline?
We need to evaluate that before we could make any comment.
I also want to note, Governor mentioned, the impacts of climate change. We know that this community, these areas are not unfamiliar with impacts from flooding, but climate change is intensifying that. And downstream of here, Norwich Public Utilities has a substation that's in the floodplain, and that they de-energized as another measure to protect against potential impacts should the dam have a failure. And I am also really proud of the leadership of the governor and the Bond Commission providing funding so that DEEP could do climate resilience planning grants for communities. And one of the planning grants that we provided is a $650,000 award to the Norwich Public Utilities to do some planning and site assessment to address and risks for that substation.
Katie, you mentioned the substation. That's key for getting the 5,000 residents of Norwich back online with power. Is there any timetable for when they'd be able to access that?
Sure, yeah.
I'm John Salomon. I'm the city manager of Norwich. The water is receding there as we speak at this point, and it's acting like a regular flood. What confuses the public a little bit is that we're looking at a secondary challenge, which is what the dam might do. And at that point, we don't want to repower the station. Right now it's stable, but if you repower the station and then water infiltrates it, then you're out for months because you'll have an explosion there. When it's without power, then it's more of drying out the equipment. So we won't do that till we have the all clear from the state. As far as the 2 days on Friday, things are moving very rapidly here, and we'll have a meeting later on with DEP and the commissioner to ascertain what's the status of the dam, because that's the key. When we get the thumbs up that the dam is stable, then we can bring back the people. We won't do that till we get that from the state.
So just to be clear, are you anticipating for the residents of Norwich for there to be a multi-day power outage?
I think we'll know better this afternoon. I don't want to speculate at this point. It's possible if we don't have all the questions answered this afternoon, which is possible that we don't, or this Coffer Dam situation doesn't work right, then we would. But our druthers would rather have a decision today if we can. That way people don't have to spend the night in the shelters. Never a good thing.
Will the private owner of the dam be required to pay for all this?
That's not my purview.
Right. Right now, our focus is on supporting the emergency response and prioritizing public safety. But certainly, after that step, we'll be focused on the next steps in terms of enforcement or recovery from the owner of the dam.
Can you try to kind of address the confusion? Because I think some people see, the dam, there's a leak, and then they're in that area by the McDonald's and the Dollar Tree, and they see all that flooding, and, there's a little bit of confusion about what's being handled on each end. Can you kind of talk about that?
In terms of the flooding, the river flooding, or the
Are
dam?
you talking about in Norwich itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. There's a two-stage problem here. We have one which is severe flooding. This morning, the river gauge was at over 14 feet, which goes back to 1938 almost. So you can imagine that. So there would be flooding no matter what. On top of that, then when we got notice that the dam had issues, that's a whole nother level of concern, because if that were to fail, there would be floodplain areas beyond what our normal, even 500-year flood would be. So we would have to look at that. So that's why we're so conservative at this point. The flooding is receding, so some people feel pretty confident. But until we really know what's going on, we're not going to have people come back.
So you would have depowered the substation even without the dam issue, correct?
Yeah, we would, because the surge, we've done that already, because it was close to being overwashed.
I think that's where some of the confusion. I think people felt like maybe the leak was causing the flooding, but you're saying it would have happened anyway.
Oh, yes.
That's more flooding for
Yeah, I mean, the volume of the water coming down the Yantic is historic level.
But
Let's get
I
a
will
better
add that-
assessment of
yeah.
what the schedule is for doing what you're going to do to the dam.
I think that the first step on the schedule is at 3 o'clock today. The multi-agency teams involved in the emergency response will be meeting, and depending on the situation, we'll be evaluating, among other things, the duration and the continuation of the evacuation directives that have been provided. And then from there, as you know, we already have contractors on the scene. We've identified some of these temporary engineering measures we can take, so we'll be working on getting that deployed again ahead of anticipating the
Today.
Friday event. Well, Chuck, today and tomorrow, but we're not leaving until we make sure that those measures are in place and that this dam is safe.
Can someone talk about the measures? What are they? How?
Right.
What are
Coffer
you gonna
Dam, and also, anyway,
How's
Chuck,
it
do you
gonna
want to
work?
go over that again?
kind of coffer dam.
Yeah,
For
how's it
like
gonna
that.
work?
A coffer dam, a coffer dam is a dam in front of the dam that keeps the water away from the major dam, the original dam. And it allows the area behind there to be dry so that we can go in and work, or we can do an investigation.
Describe the dam. What is it? Earthen,
It's
stone?
sandbags, large sandbags
No,
mostly.
the new one.
The dam.
The new
What
one,
about
yes,
the
the
old
new one will be large sandbags with a membrane is what the plan is.
Old one is
And then you
made
said it was a left, I don't think this is the right word, buttnick? That's
Left abutment or left part of the dam.
How do you spell, yeah, okay, so like.
It's the left part of the dam.
A-U-B-B-O-N-E-N-T.
Okay, but when you said that word, I was like, I don't think I
The evacuation order affects how many homes? Because I was at the middle school at 1 o'clock and I only saw one couple there, a senior citizen couple. So I'm curious how many homes are affected? And
Well, that's it. You get a more of a stream in when they realize that the evacuation order is in. What confuses people is that the water's receding, so they may think it's safe because the initial flooding is subsiding. We're concerned more about actually the capacity of the dam to sustain this, and that's a whole other issue. So that's why people may be confused a little bit with that. You can notice some of the giant sandbags are right next to the excavator. Those are the type of sandbags that they'll be using to make the Coffer Dam.
Did the initial flood or the leak cause the back of the church, that land there, to kind of wash away? That's right next to the dam area.
The answer to that question is no. Okay, so the leak from this dam has not caused any serious flooding. We were concerned that if it were to fail, that would have been a flooding emergency.
That was just from the initial flood.
Correct.
You're still concerned it might fail?
We're keeping an eye on it. That's why we're here. Yes, so yes.
And is that substation, the NPU substation, is that in Norwich or is that on Stockhouse Road in Bozrah? Like, it would seem that there was an electrical substation.
I couldn't hear that.
Where is the location, the address of the substation? Just de-energized.
It's Bean Hill. I'll give you
The Bean Hill substation, 20 Connecticut Avenue, I believe.
20 Connecticut Avenue.
20 Connecticut.
Katie and Chuck, can you give us some broader context about the state of dams in Connecticut? When was the last time you had to do evacuations? When was the last time there has been an emergency response such as this?
I think probably the last time there was an evacuation was I think September 2019 in Clinton, Connecticut, that I can recall.
And is this a problem, and Katie, you might want to, is this a problem that Deep feels that they have a handle around? I mean, there's a long history here of these dams, or as you say, there's 4,000 dams with this great industrial history. They can go back, 100 years or more. But what is the larger sense as far as the ability of the state to have a handle on the degree in which these things are going to be coming up again as climate?
We require dam owners of high and significant hazard dams to submit emergency action plans. We review those plans. Owners who don't submit those plans, we follow up with them to make sure we get that information. So we have a very good, robust database on these dams that we're concerned with, inundation zones, where those dams, where the water would flood if the dams were to breach. So we have a lot of capacity and a lot of information on that area.
I'll also say that we're
How
adding.
much of that is privatized? In other words, you're relying on an assessment given to DEEP by private engineers and the owners?
That's the requirement of the dam owner to hire a private engineer, a licensed engineer in Connecticut to provide us that information.
Is this one up to date?
It is not.
When was the last one? I know you guys did the last one. When was the last one?
This dam does not have an emergency action plan.
Does not have.
Have they been cited? Have there been any enforcement action against the owner in that regard?
There's a history of enforcement action on this dam, yes.
And we're also adding, at a higher level, we're also adding an enforcement position within our dam safety team, and even zooming out even further, the example of some of these planning grants that we're providing to address climate change is helping communities to identify where they have vulnerabilities that we think is going to be really important to complement the work of our dam safety team to help keep people safe.
How big,
yeah, no,
how
that's
big
good.
is that team?
How many FTEs do we have in dam safety?
How many, what was the question?
How many personnel do we have on the staff?
I would say we have 9 people.
And how many of the 4,000 dams are at high risk, if you can walk us through that rating system?
We'd have to get you that
You know there'd be a
information.
test.
Yeah, right. We'll have to get you that information. If there needs to be follow-up information in that regard, we can do that.
Yeah, we can provide that. Yeah. Not all of the 4,000, this is a high hazard dam, right, which is the type that could, if it failed, could impact public safety. And of the 4,000, that's a much smaller subset. But those are the ones we especially want to keep our eye on. Happy to get you those stats after.
How much water are we talking about
here? A
here?
little bit here, so we can make people available, but we got to let these people get back to work. So if you guys still have questions, we make people available. But
Hearing no further questions.
I'm the bad cop here. Sorry.
Help you a lot here.
I was saying, I called you earlier.
Oh, hi.
My anger was on the bridge and the enforcement and all that stuff. So that's why.
Oh, that's fine. I just didn't have time to talk.